see is the background behind me. How much can you see? I can't even. Hey guys, it's Julie. I'm an occupational therapist, a life coach, and a mom of 2 little kids, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. Oh goodness, been sitting on my kneeling for too long. Woo! In today's video, I wanted to talk about kind of the feelings that we're all having in this climate. It's kind of crazy what we are experiencing. Call me dramatic, fine, but it has elements of kind of war-like qualities to it in terms of restrictions on our time, on our activities, potentially on what goods we can acquire, and of course it is nothing compared to what people have been through, and I have not personally been through a war, so perhaps I'm being really outrageous by saying this, but it has elements of crisis, definitely, and also fears of the unknown, a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen, and this whole coronavirus thing has really impacted us in ways that I didn't even anticipate. You know, things like conferences being cancelled, graduations being cancelled, people I'm sure are completing residencies for medical school, or maybe that's different, maybe that's a bad example. But people are completing certain clinical hours, students, you know, they won't be able to finish them. I've heard of universities doing virtual graduations, and that's such a shame when you've worked so hard to get to this point. It's a very defining point of your career. A close friend of mine has had to postpone her wedding. It's impacted travel, it's impacted, you know, first world problems, and that it's like trips that you want to go on and experiences you want to have and connections you want to have with people, but that does impact our whole life experience, and I can't even imagine how it's impacting other people. So I just wanted to talk about how this has impacted me personally in terms of some of the things that I think are universal that people might be experiencing, and as a mom of 2 small children, what does that mean, and what are we kind of grappling with. I work in the healthcare industry. I'm an occupational therapist, and as it stands as of today, I am scheduled to go back into work, and it's challenging because I obviously don't want to put myself in danger, I don't want to put my family in danger, and at the same time I also have an obligation as a healthcare professional to help in any way that I can. But then I have these 2 little people, these 2 little kids that I'm potentially putting at risk. And I know Corona does not affect children in the same way that it affects adults, but I think the truth is at this point we just don't know how it can affect people. Even in young, healthy adults, there have been cases that are coming up that are not great. So, you know, I just think we need to exercise caution, and why would we want to get our children sick or exposed if it's not necessary? Some things that I've really been struggling with, besides sort of anxiety around the unknown and will I go into work tomorrow, won't I? What does that mean? How does it impact my job security? All this kind of stuff. Is my husband's job security? I don't really know. You know, if he's going to have a job in a year, he works in finance, this has affected the economy astronomically. What does that mean for everyone's savings and investments and mortgages and money, you know? If people aren't doing business, they aren't doing deals, people don't get paid, it has a huge effect on that. Then another thing that is affected is my kids, even though they're young, the one is nearly 5 and the other one is 2, they go to school, and I can't even imagine well, I can imagine, but it must be very hard for people with older children who are now in what you would consider more critical years of schooling, so maybe elementary school up into middle school, high school, and now they're missing a lot of instruction. I think as kids get older, perhaps, you know, we can be utilizing virtual and online learning a bit better, and so maybe that is less of a stress for them. But, you know, we still are in the model of kids going in person to school and that social interaction that they have. So, you know, it has a huge effect on that. Then just the isolation and the loneliness, trying to keep kids separated because that's what we've been cautioned to do. But at the same time, We live in a building with lots of other little kids, although a lot of people are leaving, but we live in a building kind of all on top of each other, and to separate children and not allow play dates and interaction and that kind of stuff is really challenging. And then having all of our activities cancelled. So just really changing up our whole lives. What are we supposed to do? You know, like workouts cancelled and appointments, and I don't think you can get your hair cut, and you know, any kind of lesson that your kid may have, or after school activity or whatever. That has a big impact. And then the next thing is childcare. At least for me, that's a big thing, because we have a nanny, and do I have an obligation to tell her to stay home? I'm sure some of you would say yes, so that she protects herself, her family. It's a social isolation from us. And then at the same time, well, how do I go to work if I don't allow her to come in? My husband is still working and needs to stay working, but cannot work with little children around. You know, he can't like care for them actively and work. We have the issue as well that in the apartment building that we live in, all the common areas have been closed, so he can only really work from our apartment, and it's very small, and kids will come and find you wherever you are. Try as an experiment, if you have a child in your life, or maybe you don't need to do this if you have a child in your life, but if you don't, borrow a random child on the street. No, I'm kidding, but take a computer and sit at it, and you will find all the children will be right on top of your lap. Like, it's like moth to a flame. So it's not easy to work a full day of work with little kids running around. You need someone to care for them. And if I'm unable to do that because I'm at work, then we need childcare. So that's something that's really been tough for me. And then also just being stuck inside. I've been calling it the Corona diet, meaning that I feel like we're probably just eating much more than we need to be because we're not out as much and we're not distracted, and we're eating up all our supplies. I don't know if we're going to need more food anytime, you know, if we're going to go into short supply of food. You know, trying to go to the grocery store. My husband went to the grocery store this morning. They're only allowing adults or people over the age of 60 to go in for the first hour of the day, so he came home and then he went back in, and there's a long line to wait because they're limiting how many people go in at a time, you know. And then we tried online ordering, and there's no slots available for things, and I don't want to get into this panic of this scarcity mindset of being so fearful, but it really does impact. You know, you have to be smart about the meals that you have. I've actually been baking a lot of bread. It's very easy, simple recipe. I can leave down below to just kind of have fresh bread at home. It's nice. But then, you know, I've like run out of flour, and we couldn't find any flour. It's crazy. And so there's all these things that impact us. And I think keeping our mental health strong is really important during these times. I'm in this place now where I feel like I'm being bombarded by information, and let me know if you guys feel the same. I'm on different chats and groups and work emails, and obviously you're reading the news and people are talking and that kind of stuff, and it's tough because you want to stay informed, and you want to be informed by proper, legitimate sources, not hashtag fake news, but then it can be super overwhelming and make people feel very anxious. So I would caution you to really follow the guidelines from the CDC, follow the guidelines from the governor or the mayor in your city or state, and try and not to buy into all the media and the drama. Try and read reputable news sources. You know, try not to be contributing to friends getting really worked up and anxious, because it is really easy to spiral into those things. I've been having trouble sleeping because of it. You know, I get anxious, and it's just a time for us to really hone into the basics and remember that there's always a bright side to these things. One thing that I found really nice is that my husband has not been able to travel, which means he's at home a lot more. We've been spending a lot of one-on-one time as a family together, which is challenging and trying with two small kids, but at the same time I think it's kind of amazing. It's rare that both of us are at home during the week, and I happened to be on vacation, staycation last week, so I happened to be home. This week I'm not sure what's going to happen to me, but you know, it's precious time that I hope our kids look back and maybe they won't remember everything specifically. I certainly don't think the 2-year-old will, but they will remember the feeling of having everybody together, and you know, that's something that I have always kind of craved and longed for. So from that perspective, you know, we've been limited and forced to stay home, and I think that has been a really positive thing, a lot of bonding with families in their sort of nuclear unit. And then also just kind of making use of what we have at home. You know, even if you wanted to buy a lot of things on Amazon, for example, they're going to take days versus like the instant 1-day, 2-day shipping that we're so used to. A lot of stores are closed, so you can't just go out and go buy things, and I think that makes us more resourceful. I've been baking a lot more, which I really enjoy. We've been using kind of paper and crafting things that we already have at home that I don't really have a chance to use, reading books that we haven't read in a while, and I think that's really a good thing, a good side effect of this whole thing. And you know, evenings are quieter, we get to spend time together at home, maybe catch up on a show that we really like, or read a book or something, even though it is balanced, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little frenetic sometimes in moments, and then it's hard to concentrate on those things. And so if you feel like that too, like if you feel that it's hard to focus, know that you're not alone, because I definitely am feeling that way on occasion. And so I'm trying to just hone it in, practice skills of self-care, of a simple, uncomplicated existence for right now, even though that's just crazy because obviously things are very complicated, and I think it's because we just don't know. So I wanted to make this video to let you know that you're not alone, to bring up some of the issues that I feel like a lot of us are experiencing. There's a lot of unknowns. I'm sending so much love and health and wellness to all of you. Try and take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. This is the time to do home workouts, to bust out a dance party with your kids. Even if you just did 20 push-ups, or you know, a few, like, what can I say? What else do we do? Like side planks or anything. Even if you just did that for 10 minutes, that's still better than nothing, and still just keeps you active, jumping around, that kind of stuff. I think that's really fun. There's so many studios and YouTube videos and things out there that are promoting online workouts and physical activity. So even though it feels like an excuse to not take care of yourself right now, or an excuse to eat badly, or to eat your feelings, so to speak, this is also a wonderful opportunity to go back to basics, to really get creative with your workouts, and to focus on what's really important. So sleep, rest, try and reduce the stress, spend time with your kids, spend time with your loved ones. Don't get overwhelmed if you can. Leave some strategies in the comments below if you want to share. Yeah, so make sure that you're getting enough sleep, that you're eating healthily as much as you can, that you're spending time with your loved ones to fill up your little love buckets, or whatever the cheesy thing is. And I hope this message finds you well.